two of those, but we're working on some people to help me with ACE, and we'll keep it going. I'm going to introduce the board members. We have Fox, who's dancing in the front. She's our corresponding secretary. And we have Jackie Luscombe. She actually had to fly to Texas to cover the hurricane disaster. So she's not here tonight, but we have Jessica Greco helping us out in her role. So,
ready?
What's the matter? Nothing? Okay. Okay, well, we're going to start with the Pledge of Allegiance, as we do at every meeting. If you guys could join me in the pledge.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
And of course, in our crew, the two who help us out here with our group, and of course you know Dr. Hickman and Mary Claire Senate. Thank you guys. So I figured I would just take a couple of minutes to just show you our new website, the District Advisory's website, just that you can access our information, our meeting schedule, information about our subcommittees and what we do. So it's real easy. The address is just a full name, Broward, ESEadvisorycouncil.com. And so we got that URL, and this is our main page, which I think if you scroll down a little bit, you can just kind of see at a glance what we do, a description of the work that we do and things that we're focusing on, and information about our different task forces, subcommittees that we have right now, which first being ACE, the Autism Committee, and second being the DS Committee, which Fox is a part of, and I'm a part of ACE. And then we also have the preschool committee. Jennifer Gray, who just walked in, has done the preschool committee for us. And we've got more parents jumping on board all the time, which is great. At the very top here, you can see meeting schedule. So if you click on that or show up a parent, if you want to share it with a parent or friends, the first one is the ESE Advisory Council's meeting schedule, and we've got our dates and locations. We do have a morning meeting in September, so that's a little different, but the information is right there. And then next, the ACE committee. And basically, that's just a description of what we do at ACE, and our meeting schedule is right on there. And all of the other, whatever you click through the other ones.
Sure.
Does anybody here did not know about our subcommittees? Were you all aware of all of the subcommittees? Everybody else? Okay, so we have mostly district people here, which I'm really happy to see. Do we have any parents here at this point? Any parents of kids? We've got, let's see, 1, 2, you guys count, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, so about 10. I'm hoping that it's just the traffic and we'll get some more to come, but thank you. Without further ado, I will introduce Dr. Hickman because we have a lot to talk about and I want to get right into it.
Sounds good.
Okay, thank you.
Good evening, everyone.
We'll switch over.
Good evening. This is
the website that Carol's going to introduce? Or?
Hi. You have the presentation? You have this presentation? Okay.
I think I'll stay. They're going to be all right with you?
Yep.
Click for me, too?
Sure.
I can get it.
Nope, I got it.
Okay. Can you hear me in the back? I'll try to talk loud unless you want a microphone. I think I'm hearing about that. So most of my staff are familiar with our mission, and I think we've really communicated out to the parent advisory what our plans are as far as reimagining ESE. And we went through we had a long year, spent a lot of time together in our various committees, subcommittees, also our task force, and a number of other things. At this point, it was being the first of the meeting of the year. The request was definitely to introduce staff, but if you wait just a moment later on in the presentation, there'll be an opportunity where I'll introduce new staff and some of the returning staff. But before I do that, I'd like to know who is in the room. I know you've already raised your hand, saying that you're a parent. District staff has raised your hand one time, so I can see if there's any gaps or holes over in there. Okay, so the district staff is there. At this table up front, I see some special guests. And you didn't raise your hand to be parents, but just district staff, so did I miss the introduction?
We're from Broward College.
Broward College? Oh, fantastic. Well, thank you. All right, well, thanks for coming. We welcome you. So we're going to get down into it. So next slide. You saw the title was we're going from reimagining ESE or reimagining ESLS to going beyond compliance. Quite often we have a number of conversations about compliance, and most of the issues that come to our office many times are compliance. Within the past few years, we've been making a move from compliance to curriculum. For those that have been for a while, you are familiar with our structure, and you know how ESE, or now Exceptional Student Learning Support, is set up. In the next few slides or so, we're going to just do a brief overview of Broward County Public Schools ESLS division. Some progress made last year. We're going to look at some goals for 2017-18, and then we're going to talk about how we're going to support schools with some of the changes that we made as far as moving to beyond compliance and the work ahead as well. So briefly, the ESE, Exceptional Student Learning Support, we are still in our transition from my name change from ESE, Exceptional Student Education, to Exceptional Student Learning Support. There's no secret that we are the 6th largest district in the country. We have more than 270,000 total students in this district. We have more than 40,000, with counting ESE students like 35,000, and then we have roughly 5,000 students with 504 plans in the district that our group is responsible for monitoring. That said, we also have 12,000 total teachers in the district, and 90% of those 12,000 teachers work with the 80% of students who are included into the general education curriculum. So with that said, all of our children are all of our children, all of them belong to us, and all means all. So we have to not only work with our special education teachers, but also with our general ed population and our principals and administrators to appropriately serve our population of students. Next slide. Just to break down, I won't go over all the pieces that I've already shared. There's 35,000 students with disabilities. The top 3 population of students, we have 14 different categories, as many of you are aware. But about 86% of those students are either a student with a learning disability, other health impairment, developmental delay, or speech language impairment, or a child with autism spectrum, or on the autism spectrum disorder. And then the other roughly 11% is in different ranges. Our special programs. So I mentioned that 80%, roughly 81% of our overall population, those students are in inclusive programs, meaning they have served 50% or more of their school day in the general education curriculum. That's a remaining population of roughly 19 to 20% that are either in our special programs, they're in special day school, or they may be in a residential placement. And we have about 558 support teachers and about 383 support facilitators. So some of the progress made, and these are things that we are definitely proud of, and we couldn't have done it without the support of our parents and other administrators and even some community members. So we initiated or completed all the recommendations on the Evergreen Independent Review of a study that was done on the Department of ESE about 4 years ago. We developed and launched a new parent-friendly website, which you'll have a review of, but for those of you who are tech savvy who are already on your phone and not paying attention to me right now, you can go to BCPS-ESLS.com, and that is our new website. It has, it has a new name because we changed the name of it. It's the same website that we developed last year, but now has a new name, a new address. But if you use the old address, you can go there. If you use the new address, it'll take you there too. So, and then you can follow us on Twitter as well, BCPS ESLS, or at Broward ESE _SS. Can everyone still hear me? Okay. That group is tired of hearing me. We closed something else. We closed all seclusion rooms in Broward County Public Schools last year with the assistance of this team. there was a kind of a concern that we would see an increase in restraints or increase in Baker Acts. That did not happen as far overall. As an overall, we saw that I think since 2011, we saw restraints go from 459 in 2011 to now to 181 in 2017 or 16-17. That's overall, and we are leading the district, the state, in being the lowest number of restraints in the state of Florida. Did you get that right?
Yeah.
Thank you. All right. We updated our matriculation guide. I know I'm going to talk about some things you may not be familiar with. You can ask questions now or later. We implemented 2 new curricula in the pre-K program, our DIG and our Teach Town programs. For pre-K students in our specialized or intensive programs. We also restructured the support facilitation model across the district to reduce caseloads across the district and kind of balance out as much as possible at elementary schools and certain middle schools. And so prior to this, I was asked to elaborate on that just a little bit more. So if you go to the next slide, I'll show something very important. In the past 4 years, roughly from 2014 to 15, we see an increase. We have added approximately 116 additional support facilitation positions. There have been some conversation, and though we made some changes last year to that support facilitation model, it was kind of communicated because it impacted some schools that we had to cut. We actually didn't have to cut. We actually have an increase of about 20 support facilitators from last year across the district. What the purpose and repurpose of that support facilitation was to balance that as much as possible across the district. But we're still nowhere near ideal in that. But we do have some schools now that did not have a support facilitator or a full-time support facilitator. Now we can say that each one of our schools has one. Next slide. So we talked about restructuring from ESE to exceptional student learning support. I gave you the org chart. You didn't copy it.
I don't think we've got it done.
That's okay.
Oh, yeah, we did.
Okay. You can pass that on, but I'll keep on more. Due to just with our whole restructuring plan, we were able to add several positions that was going to help decrease the amount of schools that our staff had to monitor and visit, giving them an opportunity to be able to work more closely with our staff, with our principals, with our administration, and provide some more training. But I would like to introduce, and these are new positions, and there are and a few of the faces are not new, but I still would like to introduce them. So the new director of pre-K elementary, who's been on the job about 48 hours or so, or a little bit longer, is Jennifer Bigos. Please stand. Our director of secondary, who's been on the job about 72 months. No. Ms. Sonia Clay. Director of support, she's already standing. This is Dr. Mary Claire Muscenic. Our supervisor of behavior, who will also be responsible for middle schools, is Natalie Marie. Dr. Natalie Marie. We also have a specialist for private schools, and we're going to be mad at that. Stand up so I can make sure I get the 2 people right. David Riddle. David Riddle is and then the specialist for charter schools and also GHH. They have a lot of acronyms out there in their name. Louise Armstrong. And then the district coordinator of psychological service, Ms. Christina Reyes. And those are the newer positions that we were allowed to add to our org chart. Now, those of you who are remaining, who I haven't called, I would like for you just to stand and say who you are and your position, please, so I don't forget anyone. We'll start with Janice. Okay.
I'm Janice Kohler from the SLB curriculum supervisor over a group of elementary schools.
Thank you.
Good evening, I'm Carol Rogers. I do the electronic IEP system and the Johnson Taylor Fellowship. Good evening, I'm Terry Spurlock, the curriculum supervisor over deaf, hard of hearing, vision care, hospital, homebound, and pregnant, and hurt.
And keep on.
retired grade officer and supervisor for autism spectrum disorder, ASD, as well as the
I'm on the set. I'm one of the 3 psychological services coordinators. Now that Christine is on board, I have to go over to pre-K, so I am supervising our team to do the pre-K evaluation.
Hi, I'm the district coordinator of related services, which includes language,
Hi, everyone. I'm Denise Ortiz, and I'm on the school medication. Hi, I'm Dr. Shelley Beckett. I'm the service coordinator of the ESE counselor and
I'm Beth Williams, curriculum supervisor for EDD, mostly behavioral disabilities, and over a number of ELS.
I'm Alex Stokes, and I'm the curriculum supervisor over preschool.
And with this I'm the Florida Diagnostic and Learning Resource System Supervisor, and I'm also an insurance professional stuff.
Sarah Samuels. I'm one of the teaching process coordinators. I'm another one, Felicia.
I'm the team. I'm the third coordinator for psychological services for middle school, high school, and secondary.
We'll call up transitions. Any other district staff here that go ahead.
Charles Beitler. I'm also with Fiddler. This is Gwen. I do the parent services team, also professional development.
Okay.
Connie Brown with family and community engagement.
Hey, how are you? Everyone else from the district? Okay. We have two staff missing that have some prior engagements. One is Brian Norris. Thank you. We have Brian Norris, who's in charge of responsible for high schools, and Andrew Ciotti, who is responsible for at the elementary level, but also intellectual disabilities. So, briefly on the org chart, because just to clear any confusion, although we have been able to put a more focus on a level focus in elementary, secondary, and support services. If you look at the org chart, even though it's aligned that way, we still have our subject matter experts. Still, as you heard during the introductions, IND, ASD, SOD, but we also have those who are focused on certain elementary schools, certain middle schools, and the like. So we are seeing that it's putting more of a focus on levels. However, that will be the contact and ultimate be responsible if there are some issues or concerns that can't be handled before it reaches that level. Okay? So with that, and saying the position changes and being able to reduce what we call the span of control is really reducing the number of schools that they had to serve in order to be able to provide those services. So in some instances, as you see from this slide, we were able to reduce some leaders from having 45 to 35 schools, some specialists from having 25 to 15 schools, and then we were able to even provide additional days for certain for our field coaches and certain program specialists. That was done in addition to last year. We were able to add change the calendar for our ESE specialists so that they will be able to come back 5 days early and 5 days at the end. That was last year. This year probably saw a stagger because even although it was approved, we weren't able to change the contracts for the program specialists or the field coaches, but we were able to offer that extra time. Some did not access that this year, but at the end of the year they will, and at the beginning of next year they will. But that's so that more people have an opportunity to prepare at the end of the year for transition, and then to get students and things in place for this year. So we should see a better outcome next year. And then we were able to hire 2 additional technology specialists to assist with equipment monitoring and some of those things. We can go to the next one. We were able to increase behavioral support and behavior tech to the secondary support model by up to 41 at the middle. Opened 20 new pre-K classes. When we opened those 20 new pre-K classes from December to the end of the school year, we are looking at opening another 17 this year, from 17-18. We were opening 9 new ASD K1 class sites only for the 17-18 school year, and we were not challenged, but called the task. We recognized the importance that our paraprofessionals play in our everyday activities, and we know that we had a huge number of paraprofessionals, more than 2,500 paraprofessionals in the district. But we have 1,500 that are specific to ESE. But in this world we live in, there's so much transition and turnover, and our students are everywhere, that we thought it was important because paraprofessionals do a lot of the work, and we work with a lot of our students. So it's important that we train them all. So since we last met in May or June, whenever we met last, we've trained more than 500 paraprofessionals on basic behavior therapy, basic behavior training, and in addition, we have a plan to train them all before the end of the year, and that training will be ongoing for our paraprofessionals. So that's a plus for us. We feel pretty good about that. And it's in addition to increasing paraprofessional salaries by 3.5% because we did value this. And then added 2 current liaison positions. We filled one. The other one is kind of a hard to fill position. Well, hard to fill, but we're still looking towards doing that. So with training, our Fitness and Fan department has trained more than 100, over 100 documented professional development activities on top of additional responsibilities. There's 100% of our schools completed a BPI assessment. The BPI is the best practices in inclusive education assessment that each one of our schools participated as well as at the district, and that divided us with a better idea of what areas in terms of inclusion we need to work on per school and by district, which helped us create our plan and even helped us to move with going from compliance to more academic achievement. We addressed segregation concerns by completing an extensive review of ESE classroom placement in all schools. Not everyone knows, at least our team knows, that was a project that was not only done within our division and our district, but also we had some subcommittees who actually walked through and went through and visited all of our cluster programs, our specialist programs, provided some feedback, provided some reporting. From that, we were able to identify a couple of things that we had to look at. One was making sure that the standards were followed in all classes. We're 2 weeks into the game, or less than 2 weeks into school, but the issues were addressed immediately with not only the schools, but the principals, with the cadre directors. Several classes were moved immediately when they were identified as being segregated. There are several classes that remain in their placement because of various environmental reasons, some safety reasons, some safety concerns. However, we know that is on the forefront, and we do not want to peers to be segregated, and we do want to make sure that they're included as much as possible to the maximum appropriate. We completed a detailed review of our McKay scholarships and our reassignments, and our school reassignments. The benefit of that is knowing which schools, if there were our students and parents wanted to move from, what are some of the reasons, what are the reasons that they want to move, if it's more of an ESE concern or just another concern, or the same goes for reassignments. We want to look at that to be able to identify and say, well, maybe that's something, that's a red flag that we need to look at as far as addressing whatever it may be. And then, said that, this is really important for us in this time that we live in. Mental health is at the core, and mental health is at the core of ESE. Our students struggle with that. A lot of them struggle with that. A lot of us struggle with that. We took that very seriously. We had a number of students who committed suicide in our district last year. Our SEDNet coordinator, we'll probably change the title, but still go with coordinator. Charlene Gresson took the lead on suicide prevention and training, and it resulted in Broward being awarded $200,000 towards suicide prevention. Even prior to even that award, Dr. Gresson and her team were able to train 1,300 middle and high school students on suicide prevention, and more than 200 suicide prevention designees have been assigned in the district. And so moving forward, we have some plans, some curriculum, a few people that we're going to put in place to spearhead that because it's just that serious. Moving on. Quickly, we also talk about the LEA profile, and I'm only going to touch on a few. There's over 20 indicators. The LEA profile is our, pretty much our ESE report card. The state publishes it. It's posted on the DOE website, and we try to accept the challenge of increasing, and we use that as a measuring rod. So some of the things we want to highlight is that 6%, we had a 6% increase in graduation rates in 2013-14. We had a 3% drop in a dropout rate, 3% drop in a dropout decrease in our dropout rate since 2013-14. 8% more of our students are served in regular class than of any of the other very large districts in Florida. And so at 80%, that puts us right up there, and then we're 6% above the state average. We outperformed the state in meeting our 60-day timeline for evaluation. We consistently make the 99, the 98. The goal this year is for it to be 100. And we saw a 1-2% increase in overall parental involvement since 2014. Now we know from that, those are the highlights. We know moving forward that we must work on increasing student achievement in math and reading. We know we must work on increasing our inclusion rate to 85% by 18-19. That is not only that's our goal, but that is also the goal set by the state that by 18-19, that 85% of our students should be in inclusive settings or 50% or more to school day. And so there's also, we need to work on increasing our pre-K inclusion rate by 10% as well by 18-19. So we're struggling in that area. Increasing overall outcomes and overall outcomes for pre-K population going into kindergarten. Okay. So I think my next slide is on the academic achievement and just the ELA and math district achievement data comparing where we are, where our students sit as compared to the district. So blue, I don't know what the colors are, I hope they show up back there, but just the ELA for all, English language for all, the green is the students with disabilities, so you see where we compare going across for students with disabilities compared to all in ELA and in math. We have some work to do, and that's why I think, and that's why I'm communicating. We have to move past compliance and get toward achievement, making sure that our curriculum, our people are put in place, that we are doing some monitoring, that we are doing training, that we are working with our schools, that we are assisting in putting best practices in place and working for strategies and interventions that work for the population of students that we serve. All means all, but we still need to work with our population because we're responsible for it. Next slide, please. Those are the goals. I mean, in a nutshell, those are the two goals: improve our perception. But overall, we want to improve achievement for our students. We want to increase our communication with our staff, parents, and schools. We want to make sure that we all have improving the feeling of connectedness within our division, so that we can be stronger, work more closely as a team, and be able to produce and provide some good outcomes for our most fragile population. I think I've communicated throughout how we're going to do it. Quite often they say, so you added these district staff, you made these changes to ESE or ESLS department. We don't need any more people at the district level, we need some more people in the schools. We agree we need some more people in the schools. What if we put all of our staff and took everybody in the schools and they would have no one to support, train, monitor, or even be able to communicate with to go for help? However, the expectation is that we will increase our presence in schools and increase our opportunities to provide coaching, training, modeling, and mentoring. We will be able to assist them. We have to go back and maintain compliance in order to be funded to keep on going. So we do have to keep with our record keeping and our compliance, monitor IEP services and making sure that they're implemented, supply materials and equipment that we have also assist with managing, providing staff assistance, and then support related services and operations. Those are things that we have to do. That's what we're going to do. Those are the things that we're going to do better. The work ahead. So this slide here is about inclusion, and I know we've had conversations. I know that just for a moment, we talked about the 81%. When we say 81% of our students, we say it's documented, it's taken from the IEP that 81% of our students are in the general ed curriculum for 50% or more of the time. But that's not it at all that we need to be focused on. It's not the number. The issue and the concern that we're going to need to focus on this year is what does inclusion really mean? Getting away from the number of kids so we can put them on. Let's go 100%. 100%. Let's close down all separate classes, all separate programs. Let's move everybody out of the residential programs and put our students in. Then we'll be 100%. Is that what we want?
What good is that if they're not at that level?
Thank you very much. So, and I agree. I don't think that that's something that we want. I think that what we need to do in our focus on inclusion is making sure that our children are truly included, not just in the classroom, that our children are being taught to, that their needs are being met. I had a parent in this room last year before we left that talked about how some of our children, weren't able to participate in the band or talent show at school, but they were in a band and in the choir at church. We need not to minimize and limit and have low expectations for our students, regardless of their disability, be it identified or not. We need to make sure that we are providing the best services and giving them an opportunity to be included in the entire school. The next slide is the last one, I do believe. That just leads me to what I said earlier, that all of our students belong to all of us. We have to own that. I own it. I know that you do. I know that in this room, when we come to advisory and we're advised on different things, I know that we have 14 different categories. You all individually don't have to worry about that, but we do. So we hear each one of your concerns. We make sure that we try to address them. We'll move forward. I think that we're making progress. I want to continue that progress. I've showed some of the things that we've done, and there are a whole lot more. So let's work together the rest of the year to get some of those things accomplished. Yes, ma'am.
One of the things that I just wanted to bring up is something that we talk about quite often in the advisory, and a lot of parents between each other talk about that 80%, that 81%. So I just want to address it because it is obviously in the data. It's proven that those kids are included in Gen Ed for that particular amount of time. The problem that some parents have, though, is that the meaningful inclusion piece. Okay, so what really does that look like? What does that 80% look like? Is it, the time in the cafeteria at the separate table, away from their peers? Is that part of that calculation? Okay, so that's something that I'm hoping that we can just kind of dive into a little bit and sort of dissect to make sure that the times that are being used for that percentage are really being well spent in inclusion and are really meaningful inclusion, not just in the same building, and as you said very well, in the same school, not just, in the same hallways, in the same areas, in the same, we've had parents already that have reached out to the advisory because they've been turned down for after-school programs, and that's against the law. So our administrators and our teachers and our school staff need to be reminded of these things from you guys, from our administrators. They need to be reminded what meaningful inclusion means and what it looks like and how to do it, and to help support them, like this is saying, to support them and educate them and train them and to how to make that really work and make it work in the right way for our kids. I'll go ahead and introduce Carol Beitler. Would you like to come on up so we can get the, what we wanted to do at this first meeting is present everybody with the big picture, okay, with what the district looks like, our org chart, the things that we've already been discussing the last several years of meeting and talking with each other of what the priorities are, what we're working on, what we talk about when we get together for our sharing meetings, and so I hope that it kind of painted a clear picture of that. Another piece to that is, where do I go to find help? Where do I go to find the resources that I need? Where do I go to find the contact person that I need? I'm having this issue, who should I speak to? Well, in the new website, there really are a lot of great resources to get into in here. And so we've asked Carol to come and review the website so that you guys can find answers to your questions, find the contacts that you need to find when you need to advocate for your child or others.
Hi, everyone. So as I said, I'm with the Florida Diagnostic Learning Resource System, and we service Broward County, and I do the parent services piece. So I'm going to talk to you. I'm going to show you the new ESLS website, and I'm going to talk about highlight a couple of our parent training events you know, some of the ones that are well received and show you a little bit about our parent education calendar, and, you know, kind of go over some of the resources we put on the table. So I'm going to kind of sit this way.
You
okay?
go for it.
All right. All right. So to get to the website, what you're going to need to do is, this is, of course, browardschools.com. And under About Us, under the Broward Schools About Us, you click Departments. And that's going to take you to your A to Z list. This is a great resource for any of the departments you may be looking for. But I'm going to scroll down here. So if you're looking for information about magnet programs or anything, this is definitely where you want to be. But let's go down to the E, where we have our new title here, Exceptional Student Learning and Support. So I'm going to click that link, and it takes me here. And all the departments, you know, have a very similar look. It starts here with a little overview, and here, of course, are some of the our directors and executive director listed here, and our contact information. But to get to the website, you're going to kind of scroll down a little bit. Like I said, all the departments on the school district, you know, website look like this. They take you to this kind of informational page, and then you have to scroll down a little bit to find the link that takes you to that department's website. So that's an important piece, because sometimes it's, you know, you do have to scroll down a little bit. Once you click Visit Our Website, there it is. And I would bookmark this, because this is, you know, this is kind of a fluid living document, so to speak. So you want to visit this maybe more regularly to see if there's any updates. So let me start with some of the key things. You, of course, see, you know, the nice picture there. Across the top are some of, you know, some of our quick links and highlights. So if you look here, and I know it's hard for some of you to see back there, but this will always take you back to the home page, which we are on now, so that's not linked at this time. There's a link for frequently asked questions, so you could go there. And sometimes when you go to a website, you know how it is, you click around and you know, sometimes you may think you get lost, but I always say there's no place like home. So if you want to go back to the home page, or, you know, get back to where you were, always click home. But there's some nice information here about some of the frequently asked questions. Across the top, and this is always static, you have our link to the ESE Advisory Council's website. So that's another way you can get to that website. And there it is. You guys just saw it earlier. So there's, again, they have their committees listed across the top there, and just some really nice resources. You can see that it very conveniently opened another link, or another tab, so that makes it easy for you to always get back. Woo! That's right. Raise the roof for that. Here's some information on how to request an evaluation, and you can join the mailing list. We do have an e-blast that we use when we're putting out information about upcoming parent events, other upcoming district events, or other important things that we might want you to. Over here on the right, we have our, it says departments. I call these quick links. So this is right here on the home page, and I know, again, it might be tricky to see, but you have your departments for autism spectrum disorder, deaf or hard of hearing, dispute resolution. So you can see the different departments, and you met some of these folks today. So for example, I might show you the Florida Diagnostic Learning Resources Systems link, and there's our coordinator, Gwen Lipscomb, and here's some information about FDLRS and FIN, which is the Florida Inclusion Network. We have a partnership there, so we have that listed. And over here, there's some nice quick links with some of the other things. And all of this is parent-driven and parent-friendly. This website is for parents, so the information really is about providing everything that you need as a parent to guide you through the process of educating the education of your child. So we have our parent calendar. I'm going to talk about that in a few minutes. And Special Ed Connection is there as well. I'm also going to talk about that. So you can see here a lot of links. Everything's clickable.
Can you show them the resources? On the bottom.
Okay. On the main site?
Oh, yeah. It is on
The
the support resources.
Exceptional Student Learning Support Resources. Okay, so I had a question here.
Yeah.
Okay, so now you have, again, an A to Z resource list. Anything that you want to know about a specific disability, anything that you want to know about recent research, or anything that would help you as a parent. So,
If I could just
go ahead,
interject a little bit. It's also, like, if you want to look over the support facilitation guide, you can find that on there. If you want to look over the matriculation guide, you can find that on there. These are things that are real great for you to have a copy of, so that you can kind of keep track of, you know, the process of what, you know, they need to be kind of keeping up with your child, and you understand what they're working on, and you can work together with them on what's happening at school.
I just clicked the link for matriculation guide because you mentioned that. And so now you have a PDF document that you can download, review. And if you have any comments or suggestions, of course, they're always welcome. So you can see that was nice. It opened up another tab, so it's very well laid out. I did also want to show you here on these links here, if you brought that up. We have the Parent's Introduction to Exceptional Student Education in Florida. So this is a document put up by the Florida Department of Education. And this is a book we distribute at many events and provide to schools as well. So this can be downloaded. If you need a hard copy, you can contact us and we'll gladly provide that to you. At least this one. We don't have hard copies of everything, but we do have some hard copies of this. Okay. So let me see if there was something else. Definitely, if I go back to home, as we scroll down a little bit beyond the quick links, we have a nice video here, and it highlights and starring our executive director, Mr. Hickman. So there's a nice video there that kind of also gives you that overview. Over here we have our Twitter, so you can follow the ESLS department on Twitter. And that is a great thing to do because we do tweet out a lot of information about parent education events and other district happenings that definitely could be related to you. So follow us on Twitter for sure. We have calendars here. We pulled out so that since you're here, I mean, some of this information is also on the Broward Schools main site, but since we're here, you can certainly see we have the district calendar, the testing calendar for the district, all that is current. The ESE parent calendar is going to be up probably this week. We printed some copies for you tonight, so those are on the resource table. We have information about the meeting dates. And if I scroll a little bit more, and if you need to contact us in any way, of course, I'm going to show you again where the contact information is, but you can also fill out this form and somebody will definitely get back to you. So it's a nice, easy way to contact. Of course, you can always call our office. Keep going.
On the website, or they have suggestions for something to add onto the website.
Absolutely. So this can also be used, you can't see in the tiny little box, but here, your first and last name and your email address, and it says comment, question, or concern. So again, we welcome any comments or suggestions related to this website because we want it to be user-friendly for you as parents. So definitely this is another way you can make those suggestions is by filling that out. Yes, go ahead.
Does anybody have any questions or something you'd like to, if you had a concern that came up recently, is there something that you want to know how to find it on the website or where to find a contact person? It's pretty self-explanatory. It's very user-friendly, so hopefully everyone can navigate it. It's a great looking site. It really is. One thing I did notice that I know the phone number on that main page, but the main contact phone number isn't on this main page. You might want to think about adding that.
Absolutely.
So that there's just that initial contact number on that main page.
We will definitely take care of that. Great. More user-friendly. Any other questions about the website piece? And let's just highlight a few things that we did.
For the educational purposes and what's going on in the school for the services. Is there any calendar of events for things that have special needs for, the county that are school related, but at the same time, kind of like extracurricular? Is there anything like that coming moving forward?
Any calendar events for extracurricular activities for students, you mean? Or?
Yeah, things that are going on with students.
Do you go on Facebook by any chance? Because there's a lot of that on Facebook, on our Facebook page.
Right.
We're constantly posting talks. It's great about that, community events and things that are happening in the community. We're always, uploading news, things that are happening in the community. We try to update you as well at the meetings on things that are happening in the community. I've got a few things to mention here later that are going to be happening upcoming things.
Kelly, if I might just make sure, some of those activities are included in the parent calendar. So the calendar will be on the website. It's not off the press release tonight because we just finished it yesterday. So you will be able to look at not everything, but something. Yeah.
And those are over on there's a lot of great resources over on the tables over here that you guys can browse and take whatever you want.
I'm going to leave that open, and I'm just going to highlight a few things. Go ahead, yes.
For the parents that are just coming into the ESE or the ESLS world, how are they coming to know of the website? Is that just
Well, we disseminate it
there?
a lot. It's on our website for parents. I think that,
The link on the main page on Broward.
One thing I did want to mention while we're on that subject, I pushed pretty hard to get our flyer backpack home with all the students. How many people got one? How many parents got one? One of these in the backpack. Okay, only two. My son didn't bring one home, and I asked a lot of other parents that haven't seen it. So we'd like to push again to backpack this flyer home to as many as possible. I know it might be a little difficult to hit every single student in the county. But there's a lot of kids, like you said, in Jenna's classes, and it needs to go home with them. And the website is on here. And a lot of other, great information about the subcommittees, and a lot of links to a lot of other informational pages and social media and things like that. So we're working on getting.
Also, to answer your question as well, as far as the information on the website, Child Find, as parents come in for their referrals and their evaluations, they do provide like a postcard. They have kind of a packet, but there is a postcard with this website information on it. So that's another way to kind of push that out. So good question.
Because we get a lot of stuff at the beginning of the year, right? You get the folder, and we get a lot of flyers about a lot of things that don't pertain to you necessarily. So it really wouldn't be so bad for kids that, or parents or families that don't need it, to just have it in there and go, oh, hey, you know what? My neighbor or somebody might want it. So I really think it's important to try to get it home to everybody. So I'll keep asking for that.
So yes. Principals are meeting, the elementary and middle school principals are meeting tomorrow, so maybe you could shoot Dr. Wanda an email and just ask her to remind us principals to get the open houses.
That'd be great.
Some schools have done open houses already, but a lot of them are waiting until next week. Part of the open house welcome back table.
That's a great suggestion. Thank you. Did you have something, Gwen?
No, we're working with new parents You can also sign up for e-news, which is an e-blast that we send out to parents electronically on different activities throughout the community. So that's another venue for you to receive information. And you can do that tonight.
Is it a website? E-News is a website?
Well, it's right here.
Oh, I see.
If you click on our main site, the ESLS website, join our mailing list, type in your name and your email address and hit submit. It may send you a kind of a please confirm email to you that you have to click a link to if you want to be involved in the e-news, e-blast. But we do push out. We have sent a couple of e-blasts recently, so we do push those out regularly. We don't kill your email, by the way. We really, we're very thoughtful about the information that goes out. Okay, so some of the things, and thank you, Fox, for passing that out for me, because I do want people to have their hands on this. So hot off the press, we have our parent education calendar. I want to highlight just some of the things that we do kind of regularly and some of our more popular, or let's say the things we do, like I said, more regularly. We have active parenting classes, so these are parenting classes. We have professionals that come as well, so it's welcome, and all parents are welcome. We don't really, this is put out from fiddlers, but we don't distinguish. It's just parents are welcome to be there. With active parenting, they go over kind of the styles of parenting, ways to communicate better with your children and with your family, ways to handle misbehavior when that does arise, and ways to really make connections to your child's school. So those are some of the things. We do active parenting for preschool, which is called active parenting the first 5 years. Every parent that comes to our active parenting classes gets the guide at no cost to them. So that's kind of, just cost. And so this is the active parenting first 5 years. We do have active parenting for ages 5 to 12. And we also do active parenting for teens, so those for parents of ages 13 and up, pretty much.
Our school did those before, but not the younger ones.
Oh, they
did it for the 5 or whatever, and then
yeah.
the teens.
Oh, did they? Did you attend?
Yeah.
How did you like it?
It was really interesting.
It was good?
Yeah.
If you go to something like that, if you can walk away with just 1 or 2 really amazing tools that help you, it's worth your while.
Yeah, and it was awesome because then you got to know all the people at the school that, like the guidance counselors and all that.
Oh, so you got to, yeah.
So they were the ones running it.
Right,
so
right. Yeah, that's true. We also have, our facilitators of these active parenting classes have attended a one-day training with us to become a certified active parenting leader. So they really have dug into the research and into the curriculum. So they have these video support kind of vignettes that put everything into practice and really bring it to life. They do a very nice job.
I just wanted to say, my husband and I both attended these classes at night or evenings, and they are very beneficial.
Yeah.
So
thank you.
They have a lot of interaction. It's usually a small group, and regular kids. It doesn't matter age shape. It goes across the board, and it's very interesting, and it really helps a lot.
Yeah, thank you for sharing that. I appreciate that, because it does, and it builds kind of a community, because they might be 6 sessions or they might be 3 sessions, so you're seeing those parents over subsequent weeks, and it's kind of nice to build the community of parents and a community of learners. And we also, of course, welcome any follow-up. If you are trying something that you learned in the book and maybe you're struggling with it, the facilitator is always there to kind of guide you through that piece. We also do hot docs, which is something for it's preschool, but it really is ages birth to 8. Hot docs is a program from UCF, and it's kind of research-based. It's backed by the Pediatric Association, but this is the guide that parents would get for attending that workshop, helping our toddlers, developing our children's skills, and we provide that, again, at no cost to parents. This is a series of, it can be up to a series of 7, but we've kind of condensed it to 5 meetings.
With pre-K committee, one of the things that you talked about is the group, one of the groups that needs a lot of assistance.
Yes.
So you need a lot of support given in Spanish, but not so much in Creole.
Yeah, we did do active parenting in Creole last year.
Okay.
We did provide that, and we'll probably do it again in the spring. So thank you for bringing that up, because that kind of tells me not probably do it in the spring. I'll plan it for the spring. So, but we do that about once a year for the Creole population. And we do welcome, if a parent needs an interpreter at any of our parent education events, I can arrange that, any language. So that's always welcome.
When you do that, I would definitely partner with the FACE department, so that because they're already really having a proactive reach to that community through the faith-based and the barbershops and all of that kind of stuff. So it would probably be really beneficial if both departments work really closely together to reach that group.
That's good to know. Thank you. We also have a webinar series that we conduct. We're going to have 2 webinars this fall for parents. And so you just log into the link, and I'll show you where that is. We're doing growth mindset, which is all about kind of, and that's another one we're also doing a face-to-face as well. That's really learning how to praise your children to make them, you know, really have that impact. Like specific praise, feedback, it all makes a difference in the impact of the child's learning so that they can become more of a self-directed learner. And so we have that coming up. True Colors is something we're going to be doing at the Expo. We have some flyers out here for the Expo, which is October 7th. That's over at Nova Southeastern. It's a great event. Lots of vendors, lots of fun activities for kids. They have, you know, wheelchair basketball. They have a fashion show. It's a wonderful event. But we're highlighting 2 workshops at that event. There's one behavior. Card is going to be there to present on that. And I'm doing True Colors. I'll be doing a presentation on that for parents. And True Colors is about the 4 colors that have to do with personality traits. And if you understand the types of personality you're dealing with at home and in your family and in your workplace and everywhere, you better understand, you know, how to work together. So it's the colors, there's 4 colors representing 4 different personality types. So that is something I'm going to be doing as well, books provided.
When was that date again? I'm sorry?
That's going to be October 7th, and that's at it used to be called the Disabilities Expo, now it's just called the Expo.
What's the day after, like a day for kids or whatever they have?
I don't know.
Really
Day after the day for kids?
They have a day for kids usually there too, and usually the disability one is like the next day.
Oh, really? I don't know, but that could be. We partner with 211 Broward for that event. We also have coming up the Transition Summit. There's some flyers for that as well. That is, we have a youth track and a parent track for that event. We have some panels going on, breakfast and lunch provided. The kids go to a youth after party, and the parents continue to attend different workshops. So we're highlighting, we have a great keynote, adult with autism, who also wrote a book that you know, has won awards, and he'll be our keynote speaker. The last thing I want to talk about, well, we'll look at the calendar. I just wanted to show you a couple things. If you open on the 2nd page, you can see a flyer for Special Ed Connections. So this is a web-based resource. The Florida Department of Education is providing access to this fantastic resource to parents. The subscription is usually very expensive, so they're providing to parents that resource. So we have a sign-up. You do have to sign up because I have to send to the LRP folks, that's the people who run the Special Ed Connections, I have a sign-up list for that. Yeah, I don't know. Also, if you keep going in here, you'll see there's your flyer. Okay.
I'm going to thank Carol. There's a lot of really great resources, and they could go on and on and on because they do provide like 100 PDs outside of being at a lot of the events throughout the district. So
they're very proud of what they do for parents and what they do for the community, and they really provide excellent informational sessions and training for everyone, right down from the paraprofessionals all the way up to our parents. So thank you, and I encourage you to follow her link. And there's lots and lots of PD information. If you have any questions, you can call our office. Okay? Thank you, Carol.
Thank you, Carol.
Okay, so for the ones who just came in the room late, I'm Dr. Mary Claire Musene, and I'm the Director for Support Services for ESLS. And Kelly had asked me to kind of provide you guys with a graphic of where can parents go for assistance. Okay, so we have this on the table. Because parents are always like, I need help, there's something happening at my school, what do I do? Okay, so we put a little graphic together for you, and it begins like having an issue, and the first thing we ask you to do when you have an issue is what would you do? Talk to your teacher, okay? So if you're having an issue in the classroom, that's your first stop, is really address it with the teacher, because they're the ones in the classroom working with your child, and we want to make sure that they're aware of the problem, and you're having a conversation, maybe a conference, and you guys are working it out. If that doesn't work, your next stop is going to be the ESE specialist, okay? Because they really know, they probably helped develop your child's IEP. They know what's happening in the school in terms of programs, and they generally know all the kids, and that is the next person to really go to for issues. If you continue to have a problem, then the next step up would be the administrator in the building. Okay, so that would be an assistant principal or a principal. Okay, so that would be kind of like you start with the teacher, you go to your ESE specialist, and then you go to an administrator. Now, that doesn't always work, right? Sometimes we get all the way through there where we can't get a meeting with the principal, or we had a meeting with the principal and we're not satisfied. So there's two routes on this chart. One is if you're having a problem with the principal about how they're managing something in the school, or something about, I don't know, it could be any kind of operational thing with the school or about their teachers, you don't like the teacher, something along that line. That we, in ESLS, we have like no control over the teachers and the principals and their decision making. So if there's an administrative issue, then on our chart we're going to route you to service quality, and we have the number there, okay? Because that's the principal's bosses. So that's the where to go. If you're having a problem with the principal, then you kind of have to go to the principal bosses. What's that number again? We have it here. Service quality is right here on the sheet. 754-321.
Hold on 1 second. 754-321.
3838.
Oh, wow, they're going to be busy.
Now, only because you're welcome to call our offices too, and I have it here on the chart, okay? You're welcome to call our offices as well, but we end up calling over there because we don't, we can't tell the principals what to do, okay? So if you have an IEP concern or there's a service concern, then you're going to follow this chart right down here, okay? So that's where you call our offices, and we're probably going to direct you to one of the curriculum supervisors that you have met back here in the back. And then if that doesn't seem to get resolved because they have teams out in schools who can help support the ESE specialists and the teachers, then it may rise to the parent liaison position, which is new for us. And then if things are still, while we're working with the school, we have a whole team out there working with the school, and there's still issues, it may rise to one of the directors, okay? So we have Sonia Clay here, we have Jennifer Bigos, and myself, okay? And then when all else has failed, then we really are looking at our local resolution office and going that route through perhaps mediation, and that's going to be Felicia Stark and Sarah Samuels. Raise your hands. Okay? So I just kind of wanted to, because I know it's very frustrating when you call and you call and you call and you're trying to find all the different people in the district and who to get help. So I wanted to make sure that you kind of knew the process and where to go if you have any questions. Okay? And if you kind of end up with us first, like if you get one of the directors or something, we kind of head right back down to the school. because we have to talk to the teacher and the administrator and the ESE specialist, and we have to kind of go through the same route as well. So just, you know, to help everybody and really foster communication and collaboration with schools, we're asking that you have that conversation with school, and if you have any frustration, we then are there to assist. Okay? Any questions? Okay. We have all of these on the table. Okay?
And I've gone ahead and passed out these yellow forms. This is if you have a personal issue that pertains to you, but please go ahead and turn it into Bob or myself, and we'll make sure that we hook you up with the right person to talk to. Okay? And try and get it resolved for you. Anybody have any questions or comments? We've got some time to bring up questions or comments that anybody might have. Don't be shy. Come on, go ahead.
Okay, so I was touching on your flyer. So last year I missed 3 meetings because there were parent nights at my school on the same night as the ESE Advisory Council.
Well, they just are.
So this council used to put forward, and somebody who's been around as long as I have can tell me, it was resolutions or something that had to go forward to the board, and they were like suggestions from this committee of things that could be adopted by the school district. So I don't know how we do that because I haven't seen that in a couple of years here, but I would like to make a formal request for that.
Well, it sounds great. At the end of the meeting, as you've looked at if you got to take a look at the agenda, we have
the one topic, like whatever.
That. So that's a great one topic. Okay, I want to make sure that that gets on the top of our list. That's why I want to leave some time for the end of our meeting, so that as parents we can talk about these kinds of issues that you want to have happen in the future at our advisory meeting. So you can absolutely expand on that right now or later on if you want to, whatever you prefer. I didn't mean to cut you off. I just wanted to let you know that we're on the same page. And I like that suggestion, and I think that we absolutely need to have more active participation with the school board and bringing forth different motions. And
so what I think you need to do is the school district has invested a lot of money in revamping their entire web system. Correct me if I'm wrong, but most, if not all, schools have an ESE specialist in them. I don't see why the school board can't require that those ESE specialists make sure on all of these websites at the beginning of every year that these meetings...
You mean the school website?
The school website themselves, because not every parent is going to navigate to this immediately. It's great that we're all here, but every single parent that's out there of an ESE
It has been a suggestion in the past by the ESE advisory that every school on their website, and the website forums and templates have been changed a couple times in the last couple of years. And that was a big issue in the advisory maybe 2 years ago, maybe even 1 year ago, 1.5 years ago, that, Allie, that we wanted to put, that wanted every school on their landing page to have an ESE tab or button for parents to go to. And that would be the perfect place for us to have our information. And
I think that we need to have our meeting on the calendar. That parents don't necessarily know these terms. When you're brand new in this, you don't necessarily...
You mean this meeting or your school meeting?
This meeting.
It's on the district's calendar.
It's not on the school's calendar. And what I'm saying is that every ESE specialist should be required to make sure that the ESE advisory meeting gets put onto their school's calendar. There is an expensive website there. Why aren't we using it? Furthermore, every school should be mandated to not allow for parent night on the same night as a meeting that covers over 10% of our students. Because then you're forcing parents to decide whether they're going to go to science night or a Title I night or whatever, or come here. And those are basically cost-free. Okay, the website's already there. It's just getting somebody to input it in, and it doesn't take a lot. And mandating that your schools do not put parent nights on the same night as this meeting, which is a very valuable resource, also doesn't cost any money.
So is that why we don't have a lot of parents here tonight?
Yeah, I think that that's a big part of it. The last thing is, while I agree with you that our flyer should have been in every single thing, that's a lot of money. I just gave a whole bunch of paper to a whole bunch of teachers.
You know how much paper I had to recycle out of that packet that didn't pertain to me? One more flyer
for something so important to so many parents.
Right.
I don't think it's a big ask.
But here's the thing, why?
I don't think there's any malintent from anybody.
Right.
Okay, I mean, it's not like nobody wants you to know about our meetings. I mean, it's just that they're not, you know, they have a lot going on, so they're just not thinking of it. They're not being reminded of it. We need to remind them of it and make sure that it's done. And if the parents are aware of it, then they need to go, you need to be an advocate for us and for the community and go to your school and say, hey, do you think we could make sure all the parents get that flyer because it's really important? You know, we just need to try to foster a working together relationship, because if we start attacking people, nobody's going to want to work. You know, they're definitely not going to want to put our flyer out then.
The district puts out at every ESE meeting, they're required to give us the parent handbook. They print it. I've had 5 billion given to me over the years. Every interim, everything, I get that parent handbook. Why aren't our meetings in there?
They're going to be. They're going to be. Ellen?
Piggyback on what you're saying. I would be able to get a list of all the parent advisory meetings. Before schools had a website, but we certainly had a school flyer or a school newsletter that went out, and we were requested at the ESE specialist meetings to please make sure those dates went into our school newsletter so that the parents could see.
You guys just have to remember, because that's a great idea to put them, ask them to disseminate that information.
Is there any way, since the district is here, that they can ask the ESE specialist at an ESE meeting to please just put the dates in the folder with the ESE specialist can, and ask them to please hand it to whoever does the website and ask them to please put the dates into the website? It takes 1 minute.
Yeah, so we did talk with the ESE specialist last year and encouraged them to supply the ESE advisory information at the staff. So that I did communicate that to the ESE specialist last year, and we did that again.
Yeah, let's do that every chance we can. You know, at every meeting, the coaches meeting, the ESE specialist meeting, the principals meeting. You know, we'll do it everywhere we can to try to make sure. I mean, I know that Jessica's got one sent home in her child's backpack. I was really happy to see that. And we just need to push a little harder and get that done. Go ahead.
Can we add an extra to it? Maybe if we can sort of use the different advisory. So you have the North Area Advisory, South Area Advisory. Can we maybe like use them to disseminate that information, because they go back to their schools, they have to report it back to the principals. So maybe that's a way that we can sort of disseminate those sheets there and ask them to bring it back to the principal so the principal can include that in packet.
Yep, got it.
I think that's great. Anything that we can think of, we'll sit down and have a powwow, and any kind of outlet and connection that we can make to make sure the information gets out there, including the websites, the school websites. That it would be great. You know, we're working with different little cities. Each school's a different little city with their own little teams, and we're trying to, you know, talk to all the teams and make sure that we can get the consistency throughout the district and make sure that it's followed through at every single school. So we're working to try to do that. So we need your help. We need your help, guys. Go ahead.
I just wanted to address the website page real quick on the site page. We did have a formal motion in the 2015-16 school year that was presented to the board, and there have been pretty perpetual conversations following up on getting that out there and as those platforms come out. I will tell you, like, how the advisory process works out is you're stacking your staff is either that first or fourth week. Your DAC, your District Advisory Council, is always that second Wednesday of the month. It's never going to change. And then the area advisories and the specialty advisories are that third week of the month. And, you know, there's always going to be a conflict. There's just always going to be a conflict with everything. That's why I see we're Facebook-living it, and we're doing morning meetings, and we're doing alternate locations. I think it would be really good to target the energy on getting the information on the site-based website, focusing on that one specific particular issue rather than picking a meeting night right away, because you have to pick your priorities.
and having been doing this for quite a long while, and we did that motion 2 years ago, and it's still not happening.
I'm misunderstanding what you're saying, rather than picking a meeting night. What do you mean by that?
But rather than asking the principals, hey, don't do anything at your school on the third Wednesday of the month.
No, that's really not I think that if we go at it from the standpoint that we had our calendar set very early on, we worked real hard to make sure that we all coordinated our dates and turned them into the district. So those dates need to be passed along and put on the calendars so that when there's future plans being made, that's something that can be taken into consideration. Now, clearly, that's not going to happen in every single incident. It's impossible because there's too many conflicts. There's too many people that we're dealing with to coordinate. So we have to be realistic, but we can do our best to try to at least make sure that the dates are posted on every calendar we can get to and every school that we can get to so that people can make it and people don't have these conflicts. But, you know, it's going to be difficult because you're coordinating a lot of people, but we'll work on that for sure. As far as motions go, we did present a motion our last meeting last year. Ellen presented a motion that we're going to be carrying over and working towards in regards to the reverse inclusion programs and trying to work in maybe with our peer counseling classes, some of our other classes that happen within our not only middle schools and high schools but elementary schools as well, to try and encourage some reverse inclusion programs, which simply just means having some gen ed kids working in peer modeling in different situations with some of our special ed kids. There's some great opportunities for us that are already in our schools that we don't need to recreate the wheel. We can just kind of slide it in there and work it in. I know that in my son's middle school, they already have it. There are kids in peer counseling that are signed up to do just that, and they're really excited about it. Something that Steve brought up that I thought was a really great point is that there's what's the science program that you said it encourages future scientists? I'm forgetting the name. Not great. Basically, these kinds of programs will encourage our future teachers, our future teachers. And clearly we know everybody is reading the news. We need them. We need special ed teachers. We need paraprofessionals. We need people who want to get into this profession because there's a shortage. So I think that this kind of a program, if we can kind of integrate it into our schools, I think it could be really beneficial all the way around.
Now I remember.
What is it?
Well, it was STEM. Thank you.
STEM. That's it.
And you know, we're making a big deal about focusing on the STEM subjects because that's where demand is after you graduate. But we also know that there's a great shortage of teachers and therapists for special needs. And in my son's high school, that he doesn't attend anymore, they have a reverse inclusion program, and all those kids are so excited about working with these disabled kids that many of them are planning to make that their career. They're going to become ESE teachers, they're going to be speech therapists, they're going to be behavior analysts, they're going to...
And even for kids in elementary school, in Carol's program, they are already in elementary school level, all excited about you know, going forward.
So not only is it benefiting the ESE students, and right now the general ed students, but it's also preparing them to fill those blanks in that we so desperately need to fill in when they graduate.
So in carrying on with that motion, it's just because we presented it out loud, it hasn't lost its steam. We're going to be working together with Ellen, who has a lot of experience, and we've talked with Dr. Hickman about it as well.
Yeah, although I haven't contacted
Ellen?
Ms. K.
Ms. K, sorry. Casual.
We did take the motion very seriously and have done a few things. Number one, we did meet with the staff person that was recommended from Cooper City High School, who has been doing a program similar to that, where they've had reverse inclusion, where they've had students who are earning an elective to work with our SBs. Met with her maybe last week. Had a good conversation about how some in the program, how to go about getting approval to award credits for that particular subject. We left with a sort of like a sketchy plan to do some of the questions answered. That's one step, and then in terms of other programs in the district, we were contacted by a young lady named Amanda Alvarez, and she's one of she's in charge of I believe it's also at the city, but I could be mistaken. But anyway, she wrote a proposal to the superintendent last week or week before to fund the charter, the chapters, like 17 high schools that currently have Best Buddy programs in there, and I think 2 more may have been added this summer. And so we wanted to look at that. The superintendent on board with that. So that's the second part of addressing this reverse inclusion piece. The third part is I'm meeting with the 2 of the cadre directors for high school. Either the 8th, on the 8th, I'm going with the young lady, Amanda Alvarez, to the Best Buddies regional office to get a better understanding of what's going on. So, say that when you go that route, if you want the Best Buddies at every school or every middle and high school, that opens up another issue that's much larger than this. It opens up an issue of competition and reimburse the program. But we're going to go down the road to find out what steps we need to take. In having conversations with principals and the cadre directors, it may not be necessary that we have a Best Buddies program in every middle and high school, but it is important that we have some type of reverse inclusion program in these high schools. So they do have peer mentoring, some do have peer counseling, some do have a number of other well-run, inclusive opportunities, therefore they don't necessarily need it, but you're going to do an assessment of who needs it, who can benefit from it. So I'm meeting with the cadre directors, Mr. Ramirez and Mr. Strauss, also under the direction of Dr. Wanda. Dr. Wanda, she's the chief of school performance and accountability. She was our last meeting. And so those are like 4 or 5 things that we're going to do to address it, not taken lightly, and we come back from a lot of people have worked over something.
I think one of the concerns is just trying to have something, whether it be different programs or whatnot, have some type of mainframe, outline, consistency, so that, all of those kids have the same opportunity to benefit from that. So I think that's really important. I think that one of the disappointing things is that one of the things that the advisors worked so hard to achieve years ago was to implement this not Best Buddy, Play Pal type of program in the elementary schools. And it was pushed and pushed and pushed, and it started increasing, and new programs were popping up, and schools were introducing their own programs. But from what I understand, that's declined. And there's not as many programs as we had only just a few years ago. So did you have a question? Oh, I'm sorry, you were raising your hand first. Go ahead.
I'm an ESE teacher at Beitler Elementary. I'm also an ESE program so I can relate to all of this on the type of the point. I've gotten to play college grades at Beitler Elementary. It's such a life-changing program. When we build that awareness when they're that young, it really can be life-changing. It builds the compassion, the understanding. They're obviously teens and adults just to embrace people who are different.
Change the culture.
Exactly.
Yeah, encourage the culture of inclusion.
And I know it's a cliche, life-changing, but it really is, because, we're different in so many ways in this room. And, it drops the judgment. And it just
what you don't understand, you're afraid of. What you're not exposed to, you're nervous about. So that's the whole,
do that more and more at the elementary level with more and more students. I just think that's a good start to setting that positive culture.
Thank you. I agree. Go ahead.
I'm also an ESE parent and an advocate in school at all levels. And in elementary school, we have a lot of support and a lot of things that I have no basis with my own son, where he's in high school now, that the services, especially if they go into general curriculum, decline. And the problem with that is that even though the services decline, the diagnosis does not decline on the person. And you have a lot of things coming at you in a world that's general population, and you're kind of like fitting into it, but you're really not there.
Yeah.
So that support is really necessary. for middle school and high school, general curriculum, special needs children. Right now I have my cousin's school that is providing, but for the first 2 years there wasn't that support, and he was failing, it wasn't working out.
That support facilitation manual that I mentioned earlier that you can find on the website, and I have a copy of it. I'm sure you can ask for a copy of it. That can help a lot. If you review that and go through that, meet with your support facilitator and go through that information with them to try and come up with some accommodations and support that your son needs in that more independent setting.
Just to put a little historical perspective on play pals, what Dr. Hickman said is basically true, that the district is concerned about anointing any particular program and endorsing it because that would be playing favorites, even though there's really no profit involved with any of this. And at the time when this happened several years ago, I'm surprised that you knew about it because it was before your time. It was just a reason not to pursue it more than anything else, in my opinion, because there was some good programs out there and they never grew beyond that. I'm hopeful that what we'll see now is a way to work around this and make it happen rather than fall back on the easy answer of, well, we can't.
Well, I think it's a good idea always to work with people that we already have in our system and
Learn from them and draw from them and put them into positions of where they can help others and teach others. And so we have people like Carol Panzarella who developed the Play Pal program. There's other people I'm sure that are doing great peer counseling programs. So I think it would be just so great within these meetings that they have monthly to put those people up in the front and say, why don't you talk and share about what you're doing in your school so that the other coaches, the other people on staff in different schools can share information and learn from each other. And go ahead.
The only one thing about that's money that proposal. Each year they have $350 annual dues for event studies. Then comes the competition. That's the part left out. So the request right now is to pay the dues for these 17 schools. But remember, we have 37 high schools and 35 middle schools. So
maybe that young lady that emailed you can put together some fundraising ideas.
Well, that's part of what it is. So they, in order to keep their charter or their chapter, they have to do a certain amount of fundraising. That's what they've been doing to raise the money for the youth. And then they have to attend a trip or travel somewhere, and there's some money associated with that. Also, with that place, you have to have a facilitator, which then comes some more funds. But that's part of what happens. So we were to endorse this one program all over the district. With the 17 schools at $350 or $500, let's pay $500 plus a person.
That's all up.
Yes. Okay. But we're going to work through.
Yeah, I know that you're going to want to talk about the individual groups raising money. Go ahead.
Well, yes, but more than that, is we don't really care what they call it or if it's affiliated with somebody.
Right.
When my son was in middle school in an FDE classroom, he had never had any contact with a typical student, ever. He was in the classroom. They went to lunch before. Those general ed kids went to lunch so they could eat in an empty cafeteria. They left the classroom 10 minutes before the last bell so that they weren't there for the crowd when the school bailed out. If you bumped into a gen ed student who was accidentally...
I see it every day in the middle school. I see it every day.
And these are the kids that I'm talking about that are in self-contained classrooms, whether it be in elementary, middle school, or high school, that right. Desperately need, they're not part of the 81%, they desperately need some contact with some gen ed students. We don't really care what you call the program, it doesn't have to be endorsed. We'd just like to see a baby step in that direction. Now, at Cooper City High School, where my son went last year, they have a enterprise, Cooper Crafts, where they make stuff, they sell it, and they're self-supporting. And they don't collect dues from any of their students, and their students don't actually do much fundraising. The football team sponsors the ESE classes and provides all the funds from one football game a year to ESE. So, I mean, there's more than one way to
inclusion.
What do you
know?
Yeah, they let them. They presented like their meeting last year, and they let them go on the football team on the field.
Yeah.
Well, that's awesome. I mean, these are just little ways within the school community that we need to promote,
you know, the culture of inclusion, and then it gets spreads and
Like I
makes
said, we don't
everybody a
care
lot
what you
happier.
call it, as long as there's
Right.
like something there where, you know,
Yeah.
a self-contained
So, yeah, I
statement
mean,
has
I think that the idea is to have some mainframe, like I said, some kind of chart, some kind of, you know, organization, but it doesn't have to be when I say organization, I just mean organized.
Organized.
Anybody,
I thought the idea in the motion was more for an actual elective, like
course.
an elective
It is.
course.
It is, and that's what peer counseling is.
Okay.
It's like, you know, the Key Club or, you know, other clubs.
But it doesn't need to be a club, it can be an actual course
No,
that the children choose
I
to
wrote-
sign
I wrote it as
a club.
Yes, yes.
As a course, right.
Right, a separate course was the original.
Peer counselors can go into 12, but this is a separate course for children, students who want to do this on a daily basis.
There's a curriculum
They
and
can
syllabus.
be, or they can do this, or they can.
There's a course code for it.
Yeah,
Right.
that they're
Right. I think it sounds really great. I think we should explore it. I think that, you know, some of the problems could be, do we have enough kids in the community that are going to do that if we've already got the peer? So, you know, there's a lot to look into.
Oh, yes. They will. They will.
Well, how many kids do you need to make it a class? How many students do you need to make it a class?
One.
Really?
Correct.
Wow, I didn't know
They
that.
have like an average of 10. I mean, because the kids are going in.
Right.
But it's been like an average of 10 per year for the past 5 years, I believe.
I know, but you only need one to make it a class.
Okay, something we're going to be exploring. Anybody else have any other issues you want to bring up?
I just want to say, the Broward Behavioral Health Coalition, Cultural, Linguistic, and Competency Board, and we focus a lot on what's happening culturally, what's happening, and ESE is a culture. There's a group, and anything that's a group has a culture of something. And one of the things that are our biggest topics, and I hear a lot about, let's make all the schools the same. What we are focused on in Broward County as a whole is not necessarily equality, but equity. And where the value is yes, we want the blanket education for everyone. Everyone has the right, all have the right. But when it comes to some of these little niches that do happen in some of these schools, that I'm very envious of some as a parent or a mom when I hear this little niche is doing something. But we are developing a group of individuals to do that thing. And then we're developing a group of individuals over at this school to do a group of one thing. If we're always focused on everyone, and this is what we're discussing, is if we're always focused on equality and providing everybody with the same exact thing, like I might need a car, you might need a house, but if you only give us both $50, it's not getting us where we need to be. So you need to focus on the things.
Well, it kind of leads me into something that I wanted to bring up next.
Which is, I want to get back to that root of that, because again, what my student, I have 6 kids. If I gave them all the same food every single day, one has allergies and one doesn't, I'm going to kill one of my kids. I can't do that. So I have to, bring
No, but
one.
there clearly does need to be a consistent quality of standards that everyone should follow. And as I'm sure you all are very well aware, this is my hot button, okay, best practices and classroom standards in special programs. When I walk into one school and it's not a great atmosphere or environment and the classroom standards aren't in place, and I walk into another one where they are, and so they're not all being provided an equal playing field or atmosphere, or the best practices are not abiding by the classroom standards, that's a problem. So that's something that I did want to kind of discuss tonight. I know that we're on to a lot of other subjects, but it is something that I feel very strongly about following up, and
Mr. Gold, the Chief Academic Officer, promised me that on day one, all of those classrooms were going to be up to par and that all of those classroom standards were going to be in place for all of our kids so that the equality and the equity, for all kids was in line. So that's something we'll be following up on. Anything else? Any other questions? Okay.
Going back to what Dr. Hickman was talking about as far as the position that the district is in right now from the math and reading assessment in comparison to what is ELA? How long has that been going on that we're not meeting that, and what are we doing? I know what you're saying, we know we need to work on it, but what do we have on the burner right now to try to address that? That specifically is certainly one, my child is in that.
Overall, we have an early literacy plan. There's early literacy plan, math plan, and there's also, early. So, and her question was, what does the district want to do about the issue of math and reading? And it's on the top of every conversation. So first and foremost, our strategic plan lists out the goals and objectives that we must follow, including that there's early literacy plan, there's math plan, there's reading plan, for our students. 2 years ago, a year and a half ago, started the dyslexia task force to help the reading concern. Working closely with our school principals and being part of those teams that are having something separate. We want to be more inclusive ourselves. Instead of every time we what is this math? That slide that I showed you showed that somewhere around 55% of the overall population were not performing well, and 27% of the ESE population. The reading issue is not just an ESE issue, it's an overall instructional issue. And when you take a leap and talk about standards, you're all supposed to be teaching the same standards, not classroom standards, but standards. If you go into a class, if you go to the class next door, the standards that are being taught may be different. So we have to put a focus on that. That's being more inclusive in another plan of treatment, the issue. And what about ESE? Making sure that the plans to address that and making sure the boards are heard and we're able to help make it.
Go ahead. What's your name? Kimberly.
Well, my concern is a little bit different, but it's still a concern for me as a parent. This is my child's second year pre-K, and so, when he was at Pinewood Elementary, they were awesome with it. So we had to move, and now so I had to transfer schools, and I'll be at Morrow Elementary. And if I could take him out and put it back to Pinewood, I would. And, I said this to say this because on the first day of school when I took him, to get on the bus, number one, first of all, when you open the door and the air conditioner is like dripping water, so the floor now is soaking wet, all this water on a little bus, and it just looks so moldy. And for a child like mine that's so susceptible that every little thing just gets sick or it triggers off his asthma, etc. So as a parent, I was concerned. Moreover, the safety harness that they took out of a plastic bag to put on my child was dirty. And I asked the assistant that was putting it on, I said, is that a dirty harness? He said, no, they're clean. They're all washed. But it just didn't sit right with me. So I got on the phone, I was calling the transportation line. And a lady was totally honest with me, thank God, because the assistant lied. And she said to me that they used to be able to wash them, but not anymore. So immediately I was already upset already. And then, so when she said that to me, I was like, okay, so you mean to tell me that they're putting dirty harnesses on these kids, not just mine, but for any other kid that stepped aboard so easy, the things, you know, when he was at Pinewood, yeah, they gave him a nice, very clean harness. If I can remember right, it was brand new, wrote his name on it. If that's the case and they're not washing them and we have to turn them in at the end of the school year, why not let them keep it and us be responsible for it as a parent? So you know that specific harness is assigned to your child. You know, as long as he's using a harness. Because you're putting on a harness, what if the child that had it before had a cold or something?
I know you filled out the form and stuff with your issues. We'd like to try to put her in touch with somebody.
I was very upset.
We'll make sure that we put you in touch with somebody. Yeah. Why don't you bring it over to them? Talk to them.
Is transportation here?
Something I wanted to bring up, since I don't see any more hands raised, is the ESE specialist started earlier this year, which is awesome. They had another week of planning time, which was, I'm sure, really fantastic for them and for the school and for their coordinating. But you know, I was very disappointed that they weren't able to collaborate with their team ahead of time a little bit more, and just sort of prepare. I mean, one of the things that, you know, I had asked some people, and Jessica was fortunate enough to be able to go to bring her special needs student to the school on a separate occasion than the regular meet and greet, open house, whatever they call it. This is a separate occasion that they had for those specific kids to kind of come in early, meet the people that they're going to be dealing with, maybe meet a couple of teachers, see their classrooms. I'm not sure, you know, what all was involved in yours. Maybe you want to speak on that?
It's really just what you described. So it was, yeah, they called it a powwow, and it was a couple days before. You got to see the classroom, see the school.
It was so he transitioned to middle school.
Correct.
Yeah.
Meet the teachers. Yeah. Get a sense of their schedule, all that kind of good
my
stuff.
My son transitioned to middle school as well, and not to bring up a personal issue, I think this is a systemic issue. It would have benefited him tremendously, and I called and asked, but I didn't get, you know, a good response on that, to come in a little bit early and be prepared of where he's going to be. I mean, a lot of kids have, you know, specifically with ESE, and I'm sure with other exceptionalities, have a lot of anxiety, and they're not too thrilled with new situations and new people. Just to give them that extra little half an hour to talk with maybe their aide, or you know, the first time he met his aide on Friday at the open house, it was bing bam boom, meet me here at this morning. See ya. Now I love her. She's awesome. Thank goodness. We have a wonderful, wonderful aide. I'm thrilled. But, you know, the first week was really rough, man, because he did not know her, and she did not know him. And I had my letter describing who he was, and we have his IEP, and we have all of that. But she just started. And they're throwing her in the office because she's, you know, trying to help, and she's doing administrative work, and she's not only there to serve the needs of my child, because they've got her doing other things, which, you know, sounds reasonable to me. But just to give him the opportunity, to give her the opportunity to maybe smooth over the first week of just craziness and get them used to each other, even just a little 10 minutes, I think would have benefited him a great deal. So to hear this, and I know, Gary, that it's on the matriculation manual. It's a suggestion on the matriculation manual to possibly have that additional opportunity for those kids to come to school and meet the people that they're gonna be working with. And I think it just would be so beneficial if we could try to encourage that as best we can, because we had one hell of a week. It was so fun. I was a mess. But it's smoothing out, and it's great. And like I said, the people are wonderful at my school. I love them, and they're doing their best with what they're given. That little extra opportunity would have really been beneficial for everybody. Ellen?
Yes, not only to when they have to visit,
yes,
especially for the children who are unorganized and have difficulty finding their way. You know, sometimes children with dyslexia or children who have difficulty finding their directions have difficulty finding bathrooms.
Navigating that
and
big
show them
school,
where the bathroom is, because I have a client
who had an accident the first day because he couldn't find the bathroom in the middle school. And that's devastating to a sixth grader. So that's a systemic thing that they need to be shown where the bathrooms are, how to get from place to place, stuff like that before they get there.
And maybe just, have a few extra people out on the floor, like their security guy, or, a couple people out on the floor just kind of looking around, making sure that they know where they're going. My school did that, and it was very helpful. Go ahead. Jen?
I just had a question in general about the ESE specialists coming in early. I'm from Broward, and a lot of parents are disseminated to the other elementary schools. There's like 6 or 7 of us at different elementary schools that I keep in contact with, and we're all kind of having the same issue, where, yeah, the IEPs were given to the next school, but in my case, my teacher didn't even have my child's IEP until Monday. So there's no pre-planning going on.
Standard, yeah.
So he had a rough few days, and I'm hearing the same thing from these other 6, 7 elementary schools. Like, children start going home, we don't know what our kids are doing, we don't have any information on if they're being pulled out from their speech services or anything. There's like no communication going on. So while I understand the ESE specialists need to go in a little bit early to try and set things up, the teachers aren't getting enough time to get familiar with our kids.
But they are there early. How early earlier do the teachers come? A little bit, there's 2 weeks. 2 weeks, right? Teachers come 2 weeks.
A week. It's 1 week. But if they get their email together.
But if you've got 2 ESE kids in your class, or mentioning into your class, you gotta read those IEPs. You gotta know how to read it, and you gotta read them before they come in day 1, so that you kind of have an idea of what you're working with. And there's a lot of parent input in those IEPs that can help you. I got a call from my ESE specialist, my daughter. I got a call asking me, what do we do? He's really freaking out. Not in those words, those are my words. And I said, well, did you read my letter? And let me tell you, it was not 3 pages long. It was really simple. It was like 2 paragraphs, just some basics. I kept it really simple. When he's really freaking out, do this, do that. Here's some ideas. So to get that call, just kind of threw me, for a loop. And Gary got a copy of my email. I met with the principal twice in the first 2 days of school. And like I said, it's smoothing out, and I really like them. But just this preparing ahead of time is essential for our kids. So we have to come up with some kind of a better plan for them to be proactive in some of these things to prevent some of these meltdowns and freakouts. It's all kids are nervous the first week of school. I get it. It's not just our kids, but it's especially our kids. Go ahead.
As a parent, and as a good high school parent, that they need to, when the school year is finishing, make that phone call, ask for an interim IEP meeting, because it's not just 1 meeting a year. If they're doing a new school, call the schools, meet with the ESE, bring the IEP in advance. Schedule at the beginning of the school year meeting, and ask for the teachers to be there, every single teacher, so that each and every one of them knows that your child has an IEP, and that these are the terms and this is what's going on. So that's a legal document, and they're supposed to be following it.
And it opens those lines of communication so that you can, let the teacher know, you're on their team, and you want to work together with them. So, yeah, the communication piece is really important.
That bond, because they're stressed out with a lot of things.
Did you have something over here?
Yeah, I just wanted to ask. Obviously, there's a little bit of a gap where there's the way things are maybe supposed to be, and then there's what is. So I'm just wondering how it's supposed to be. Because I had the same, and everything you guys are saying, it seems like a real theme. So obviously there's a challenge. But I had the same experience where I spent a lot of time putting the parent input together for his IEP that really describes what he would need. And I sent it as an email about 3 days after school started, because I kind of figured people were overwhelmed. And I got a profuse thank you from the ESE specialist. I'm so glad you shared this. And I'm thinking, really? Is this the first time you're seeing this? Why is this the first time you're seeing this? Because this should have come over from the middle school when we're in the high school transition. So I'm just wondering, how is it supposed to work?
The preparation.
How is it that the IEP
you mean for the teachers?
communicated
to the teacher's preparation?
Follow-up from PDS to the general curriculum.
Well, but I want to know specifically, how does it get communicated?
Dr. Hickman? Then Alex can back me up if I need.
I can address quick case.
Okay. Okay, I'll let you go to the global education. Ideally, so, now you have a child that transitions to another school. You know that the child is transitioning to another school. You can go ahead and request a meeting, IEP meeting to the school. You go back to the matriculation guide, which will tell you how it should go. That's what, after you leave this meeting, and you ask another question. The matriculation guide will tell you how it should go.
Well, and I hate to interrupt.
Okay.
The matriculation guide is fantastic. So is the support facilitation guide. They're suggestions, okay? They're not mandated. Those are not the list of what they have to do. So us as parents, that's why we're here to say, you got to make sure they're doing it, because it's not mandated. Okay, these are suggestions and ideas. So if you do look at it, there's some great stuff in there and some great ideas of ways to go. And I apologize for interrupting. I just had to throw that in there.
But that's the idea. The matriculation guide is the idea.
No, it could be the country, the school. My child is being transitioned to the school. I would like to know what the teacher's going to do. Sure, you can meet the teacher. Let's talk about what my child is going to need next year. Sure, you can do that. Here's the IEP. You review it, you read over it, you have a plan in advance. And you come, during the summer, you can take a walk around the building. You can see where the class is, where the bus will drop them off at, where it's going to be lunch, where it's going to be, all those things. And then you come to school, and those things are laid out, and that's where you're supposed to be. Ideally. Now, what happens? That teacher doesn't come back a week before, or that teacher during the summer goes to another job, another role, another responsibility, and the person that's going to fill that person's position is not working on their child. So they start on the 14th, and school starts on the 21st. And they're just fresh out of college. So they have the IEP, they read it, it's totally different. I'm sorry, college, that's what you have to say. So then you read the IEP, and you got to teach the child that has these needs in 5 days, and you have the parent that calls you 2 days in a row, and you're not prepared. That's what happens. Now, what's supposed to happen is the matriculation guide, and things are in place in the plan. Now, some did it that way, because it does happen ideally, and they aren't having the concern. It does happen the other way. Now, how we're addressing this? What's the plan? Well, last year we added 2 days to the business special calendar, so that they can come back early and stay 5 days after. We've also, this year, 16, 17, we provided extra hours for field coaches and program specialists that we approved kind of later in the year. So they have the option of taking advantage of that opportunity for them. But at the end of the year, we should be in a better position to do that. So then when school comes back, we'll still be able to teach. They come back with a teacher contract. And so at the end of the year, the goal will be to go to school for the kids or parents or wherever, get their programs, their plans, IEP, get to the next school, the next person, the next ESE specialist, and be prepared when they come back. And then we.
Okay, guys, I think we've had a great discussion, and we're running a little long. I don't want to go over. Oh, okay.
To you, and so we can know what those needs are.
I just wanted to offer a solution. The BTU negotiated with the school board about having 2 days where teachers could be in their classroom, so they were not allowed to have meetings, I believe, on the Tuesday and Thursday before school started. But when they do have that big team meeting, maybe once again we can get Dr. Wanza's office involved and say, hey, as you as the leader of your school, and since you told us that all of, like 90% of our teachers have at least one person with an exceptionality in their class, why don't we get the principal on board on the back to school meetings going, hey, you guys got what you need? You got everything that you want? Not what you want, but you need to be prepared to greet that person on Monday morning.
Yep. Okay, Steve, real quick.
there a specific time frame when IEPs get transitioned from one school to the next? And we can.
Yeah, one of the teachers supposed to,
The IEPs are transferred, several different ways. Most of the time before the school year before ends, if they know where the child is going, they add that school and matriculate the school on, and the ESE specialist onto that teacher, that they have that. The IEPs have been available in basis for all of our teachers since the beginning of the school year, and we have made a big push to make sure that our teachers know when a child is in a program, whether they're from an IEP, an ET, a 504, a health condition, they're on a RTIA or an RTIB.
Can I throw in this one? Do the class assignments for those students, how's that going?
The class assignments for students?
Because, you know, I have had the experience, as well as many other parents, you go to meet and greet, and they say, Johnny who? Oh, Johnny has an IEP? You know, so it's the first, and that's the Friday before school typically.
Actually, they've been working very hard for schools to have their schedules in by the 31st of July so that we can push things out to schools, teachers, people, so that we have that. Again, as you well know, as influxes come in, sometimes because of class size, we do have to make some changes.
Sure. But generally,
we're also working on additional things for teachers so that they will have notifications right in front of them when they have a child in their classroom with some type of a program that they're going to participate in.
Sounds great. I'd love to follow up on that, Jessica.
Mr. Gold and I are ready to unveil that all to you. I will definitely be here.
Excellent. Let's plan a date. I'm excited. That sounds awesome. It sounds like the progress right there. Really quick, we're running late.
I just wanted to speak on behalf of the Latin community with regards to Spanish leaders. There's a lot of people that speak Spanish, but there have been a couple of schools that there's nobody available to speak Spanish and a parent that doesn't speak any English.
I can't imagine that. Seriously?
Yeah.
I mean, everywhere I go, I can find someone that speaks Spanish.
And you have to actually get a translator. How is that supposed to work?
Ask ahead of time. Did you have something to say? Because I know you had your hand up. You're good. It was answered? Okay, thank you. All right, go. We will ask after the meeting. Okay, I got to move on. The next thing on our agenda is just the chair report and the subcommittee reports. I've already told you guys about ACE. We haven't had our meeting yet, sir? Absolutely. All right, guys. Thank you so much for being here and coming, spending your evening with us. We really, really appreciate it so much. Thank you. That's okay. You guys are good. You guys are
Do you want that? Are you sure? You got that? Okay, thank you.
Okay, guys. Oh, they're gone. Oh no, she's still here.
Just kidding. Is the person still going to be here who I need to talk to? Yes. Okay. Yes. Yes. Dr. Hickman and Mary Claire are not leaving. They're going to be here.
Don't challenge him.
Didn't he come over and talk to you? We were talking about another issue. No, he's still with you. Alex Lowe? He left. Did he say he talked to you tonight? Yeah. Mr. Hickman. Dr. Hickman. Okay, quickie. Wow.
Hi, bud. Want to come sit over here? Hi. We're almost done, okay? You're doing such a great job.
Okay.
We're almost done. You're doing such a great job.
Good. It's a good thing you came, because that's, you know, that's really helpful. It's great. To the bus? Yeah. I mean, it's like I don't know much about buses. I'm sorry.
Right.
I know, you just got right in.
It does, but it leans down. Like I need it this way, and I'm sure there is. I don't know. Yeah. So I'm the Samsonite.
Mom.
Maybe. Sure we could. This, yeah.
Okay, I'm gonna stand on the chair. Oh, look, there's your buddy. Did you talk with him? Is he the transfer? You have a minute? Yeah. Okay, get up. Oh, okay, yeah. Look at him. Look at him.
I want to also there's a website for the luncheon. People can look up and they know exactly with the calories and everything.
Oh, geez. Okay.
No, it's a good.
All right, well, you know what? If we have time at the end, I'm hoping, then we can bring it up. Okay, so the chair report. I already mentioned it. Go to the website. We've got our meetings on there. We're gonna dive in very soon and get started with some plans with the Autism Committee, and we'll let you guys know what we're up to. As far as things that are happening out in the community, you might be interested in some of these. You had mentioned it earlier. The Autism Society of Broward is having a meeting. I don't know what you call it. It's a bit of a workshop on the power of high expectations at home and in the classroom on Friday, September 1st. And if you'd like some more information on that, I've got a email address, asabroward.org, if you want to check it out. Also, Joe DiMaggio Children's Hospital on September 9th is going to have their Children with Special Needs Family Resource Fair. And let's see, in October, it's a little further out there, but it's a big one, the Expo. The Disability Expo is going to be coming to Nova again this year on the 7th.
The thing is that signature grant.
Yep, the transition, which one is the signature grant?
The Joe DiMaggio.
Yeah, the Joe DiMaggio thing is at the signature grant. I've got all the information up here if anybody wants more info. Maybe we can get it up on our website, actually. You know what? I'll have it posted on our website with all the addresses, the times, the dates. The last thing that I didn't mention yet is the transition conference. That's going to be going on November 4th. And it's free. It's going to be at the Intercontinental at Doral. Okay? And there's nobody here from the DS committee except for Bach, right? Bach, did you want to bring something up about the DS committee?
Only two items. One is the national information now that have a section in the library and the Beitler media. So that's for all the teachers, students.
Where is that, Bob? Which one? It's a school, right? It's a
they moved now, right?
Oh, at Wingate.
They moved to Wingate. And
there's a section in the library for resources.
Through the summer for the,
that is so
we ask
great.
For any donation, any parents have books or text or video, anything.
Really nice
and
resource.
Teachers, parents, students, whoever interested. And this is the flyer they have it. You can go on Beitler Media Center website and pretty much check it out, the catalog, and reserve it, check out that way. The second one is this one is first time that we have on September 27th we have an exceptional educators program. This is the first time ever in Broward County that created facility for training all the teachers that have students with Down syndrome. So far right now we have around 60 already reserved. 60 teachers and parents.
Excellent. And just like the other subcommittees, they've got a great Facebook page too, where they share a lot of really great information.
So this one here that I went to, I'm a member in Palm Beach, and I'm a member there, and I attended, the class there, and they provide for the teacher that twice a year. So I thought this was a great idea, so I bring it here.
All right, fantastic. So do you have some of this coming out for parents when they come to the meeting?
So
what date is
it? Any parents, any
Is it September, Bob?
Yes, September
27th.
Oh, okay. So it's coming up.
everything coming up.
I know. Jeez.
Jen, our preschool chair, Jennifer Gray, would you like to talk about the preschool committee a little bit?
Yeah, that is official.
All right. All right. She did her homework, guys.
We had our meeting on Monday at Winnebago, and we had roughly 20 people that came. 15 of them were staff, 5 were parents. One of the things we want to work on is trying to disseminate the information out, because I don't think a lot of people either know about the pre-K committee, because we're still fairly new. It's only been, I think, our 4th meeting now, and also people don't know what it is. So we're trying to work on better explaining what everything is. So we had all of the 6 program specialists present and a behavior program specialist, John Habit. So we're working with him to put together some kind of like behavioral component workshop training for the parents, because that was one of the concerns that we addressed. Alex was there as well, and he gave a brief update on the pre-K division. They're currently working to ensure seamless transitions in service to create a continuum with the child's educational needs. And there's a push to provide inclusionary settings such as integrated classrooms that are being discussed with Early Steps and the Early Learning Coalition to allow for BCPS children at Title I schools to be integrated with the ESE too. So we also had Anitra King from the Office of Family and Community Engagement, which is SAFE. They're fairly new, they've only been around for about 2-3 years. They're working on putting together a website, and they're going to bridge the gap between the community resources and the schools, so that parents have easier access to get a hold of like 211 and the other community like United Way and ELC. So that should be ready shortly. They're working on it, and they're going to be doing workshops in the community in places such as like housing authority, football games, anything that they can get a lot of community engagement with. They're going to launch in January the Community University, which will be a database that will have comprehensive lists of services. And she said something that I thought was pretty important. She encouraged parents to not just be involved, but to be engaged. A continuous, committed relationship with the school services and resources. And one of the last things we did is we did a workshop on home notes, because there's a lot of different home notes that are floating around in the school district, and that's one thing that we keep hearing over and over again is parent communication with staff.
So what we would like to do, Jen and I have talked about it, is like in each of the groups, the preschool group, the age group, I wanted to talk to you about that. You guys at your meeting talking about it too, and kind of coming together and seeing that for each level, you know, some of the really important pieces to have in there for these home notes, because that is something in some of the feedback that we're getting at the beginning of the year, that people are not receiving home notes, you know, or if they are, it's, you know, the photocopies. You know, that's all the parents get. So, you know, to kind of personalize it a little bit to make sure that, you know, you get, you know, obviously you don't want them spending an hour on it, but, you know, you want some really pertinent information in there so that you can discuss with your kids what they've done for the day and you kind of understand how it went. Right?
Right. So we gave the parents that did come index cards to fill out some ideas of what they would want. And what we got pretty consistently was they want to know about services that are being offered, because a lot of the times we don't hear from those particular people unless we're asking for data or something. So that was one thing. Pre-K toileting is a big deal, so that was pretty repetitive. Specials, communication, and if the child was napping, because you know that can throw off behavior throughout the day too. So we're working on that. And we also concluded with an open discussion regarding what parents would be interested in seeing in future meetings, and most of them were all for community resources. We also talked about doing an IEP binder workshop, because these new pre-K kids that are coming in at 3, the parents are inundated with information, and we want to get them organized right off the bat so that they know what to expect and what to anticipate in the future, and organized so they can pull off the paperwork if they need it. We also got advocacy, mental health. The K&R assignment was a big one. BPK and BCK SIS, because there was a lot of confusion at the end of last year of how to get BPK SIS.
Don't kill me, but I'm going to have to cut you off here.
I'm listening.
Okay, you got it. You got it.
APD Medwaver and behavioral support would be our top stuff.
Thank you very much. It sounds like you've been one busy girl.
Yeah. Let's go Medway.
Very great. Great work. I just thought we could just spend a little bit of time. Did we put some index cards out? Yeah, we've got some index cards. If you could take 2 index cards from the table. And on the top of one of them, does everybody have a pen?
Share the pen. On the top of one of them, we were going to do color coding and all that. It didn't happen. Okay, so on the top of one of them, we're going to write topic. And on the top of the other one, does anybody come up with a better word than issue? Concern.
Idea.
Concern. I like that. Okay, we'll put concern on the top of the other one. Okay, if everybody in the room can just write one thing down, their top thing, and we'll have more time to talk about other things. Don't worry, Jen. I'll get your list of money. It's fine. But if everybody could just write their one at the very top, okay? So their topic, in other words, you know, I just want to have feedback from you guys because we're doing a lot of planning. We want to get all of our speakers, you know, some speakers lined up and some ideas lined up, and we've done that at our steering meeting, but I want to hear from you guys of what you feel is important. So we got the one big topic that we'd like to, you know, bring somebody in, have them give a big presentation so that we can wrap our brains around it and prepare brains about it. And then the other thing would be that concern. So an issue, a problem, however you want to call it, just write it down and turn them into us so that we can review them and we can take those ideas to heart and put them into our schedule. Anybody want to share? Topic? Steve?
Jen mentioned therapy. And when a SLP appointment is missed because the therapist has to go to an IEP, it should be made up. I think that all too often it's a commonly occurring thing where school and the teacher and the mom, everybody kind of like just, okay.
Okay, so that's your number one concern. Do you have a number one topic?
I have.
But do you have your number one, or are you just still working on it?
I'm working on it.
Okay, you're working on it. Anybody else want to share? You go ahead.
Before I share the topic, are you going to like pull it in and say these are the top ones, and then you take from the ones that are?
We're going to cover as many ones as you possibly can.
All right. All right. So then, this one I had mentioned from at the end of last year. What I wanted to see address is the ESE and gifted endorsed students. So I wanted to, really have a speaker come to talk about.
Right.
Just all how that works, we'll
do it. We'll make sure we do it, I promise you.
I'm holding to that.
You remind me though, okay? Because this old brain forgot. You got to remind me.
Okay.
We'll try to. Anybody else? Because we could just wrap it up. I appreciate you guys being here and coming here. I know there's a lot of other things going on. I know you wanted to bring something up about.
We also have my son is autistic with technology, and I have a problem about the school having the staff and to know the technology. So I was, because he did high school.
Well, Dr. Hickman mentioned that there are additional people now on the staff to help with that, right? Technology.
So she hasn't gotten back with me, but I am going to a class with the old ones sending me information to go to the class. But my thing is for high school, and because everyone tells me he knows so much.
Thank you for being here. I thought you were walking out. Thank you for coming and being here for us. We really appreciate it.
I'd like to introduce
Sure, we've got a couple minutes, and you go ahead and finish. I interrupted you.
Yeah, so I would just like to see more at the high school level because he will eventually get in the job. He has for a goal in his goal. But if he needs to be able to use his device more and not just put it off to the side, because those are his words. And he is really comfortable with it, but it just seems like if the school...
So what advice do we have? What advice do we have, Dr. Hickman, for a... No, and I'm getting you back on. I'm getting you there. What advice do we have for a parent who wants his son to be able to access his communication device and his technology more throughout his school day? Is that your question?
Yeah, because there's a course offered, but like they don't seem to know it. They didn't do it last year. And he's better with it, isn't it? And I mean, eventually he's going to have to get a job and he's going to have to be out in the real world and use it. So everyone's kind of like afraid, or they think it's like, like they wanted to put a
plugs in it so you can't hear it. And it's just like the technology person last year had to say, you know, those are his words. Just how you speak in class, those are his words. That's, it's going to be, we can change the tone, everything. But it just seems like as he got older, the staff is less inclined to know about technology.
No more.
And I guess because we use it at home, you know, because I mean, it's his food, restaurants, everything. So he can communicate with it. And it's really good because you guys actually gave him a really nice accent 1000. He has math on it, a calculator. Yeah. But how could you have someone encounter it? Should I have put it in my IEP that there has to be a staff person trained for it? No. That doesn't need to be in the IEP, but did you have a conversation with your ESE specialist and then we can get the assistant technology person? Yeah, that's what I was trying to get in touch with the girl and we found out there was a new person assigned to our school. If you fill out paper, then we can get it worked out. Okay.
That's his, yeah, he'll have to collect it after. I want to get a copy of it to give to Jackie, so.
Dr. Hickman, I just want to remind you to not forget your info, but she's going to...
Do you mind if I take a copy of it to give to Jackie?
Ma'am? Do you mind
if I just copy it and give it to Jackie?
Ali, you want to go ahead and wrap up the last couple minutes because we're going to start cleaning up.
Oh, yeah, I know.
Oh, you have a group thing. I thought you just wanted me. Go for it.
No, that's there. You can can you email it?
Yeah.
This is the Surface.
Oh, okay. Yeah. So you can put it in there?
Yeah. If you don't mind.
And the lady that spoke is in charge of staff. Right. So she comes there. She wants to see that plan that they're going to be presenting. Right. And I talked to her at the door before she left and said, "I want to know more about that." So yeah, and clarify it. Yeah. Thank you. Yeah. That's probably why she spoke on it because it's a McCabe issue. Yeah.
I think it's important for people to know that there is a process in place.
Hold on, let's
matriculation. That's why the matriculation, and I know all that. The matriculation happens for each one of those families, and the schools, were notified back in February.
Well, my child came from Broward as well, and fortunately, I had that experience then.
Right, but what I'm saying is that there was a process in place, and had the families not chosen, and the schools would have been notified. So yes, there is room for improvement.
I mean, I wasn't.
So I just didn't want things. I didn't want everybody who was here to think that there isn't a process in place. There is one, and perhaps what we need to look into is not really to revamp that process, but to see what can be done when the families choose to use the McKay, which is their right.
Absolutely. I'd like to expand that into every student and every teacher to be prepared for the kids McKay or not. Day one would be great. So I think that's going to be one of our goals here. Try and get that those preparations in place for our kids before school starts. I had a bad experience with it. I know that other parents have had bad experience with it, and we're working it out amicably and everything. But I know there's a process in place. But unfortunately, a lot of those things just happen too late. And those when I showed up at my open house to meet the 6 teachers for middle school, not one of them knew that he had an IEP. Not one of them.
Yeah. So thank you. Took them
or they didn't need it.
Okay.
No.
Is that what you're saying?
No, sir. My homeschool.
I don't have the expertise to advance the challenges that come from elementary to middle.
Yeah.
But when it comes to pre-K, I feel that I know the process that are in place, and I feel that there is a strong process in place.
Yeah.
I feel that the McKay,
Easier
it
transition.
happens.
That's the easiest one. Sorry, Jen. That's the easiest one.
But which is not,
I'm not discounting what you're
7
saying.
families are having a challenge, then it's a challenge to be addressed. I just wanted to look on the
Just
state
tell you now to take it out.
Oh, you can just pull it up.
The use of the McKay.
Yeah.
Not that it doesn't need to be addressed. It needs to be addressed,
Right.
but we have to together be a little even more creative because the McKay takes place in the summertime.
Right.
Right?
And
it's
parents
not
are going,
totally
where's
within
my kid going to school?
So,
Yeah. Thank you. Thank you for your input. And thank you for being here. I appreciate it. Thanks, guys. Good night.